challenging the rebels' hold on the country's east. And in Ras Lanuf, government forces showered the city with rockets and tank shells, forcing the rebels to retreat on Thursday. Patients in the main hospital there had to be evacuated, as it too fell victim to pro-Gaddafi military attacks. AlJazeera's Tony Bertley was caught up in the onslaught.
Confident and determined, the opposition fighters in Ras Lanuf prepare for a fight against the might of Gaddafi's forces. This was a day that their resolve would be put to the test. A soldier implores his brothers not to waste their ammunition. Save your bullets for the fight, he pleads. That fight was just a short time away. Midday prayers in the battle zone, and the anxiety is plain to see. Away from the bravado, all of these men know the strength of the powerful enemy they are facing. Soon after, that power was unleashed. In prolonged artillery and mortar barrages.
Bombard the city so the people they will flee away and empty the city so they can come back to it. It's very, very critical city, very, very important location.
Unrelenting volleys of shells struck around Ras Lanuf, which the rebels have held for just over a week, but not for much longer. Convoys of machine gun mounted vehicles fled. There was panic and confusion, and the shells continued to fall. The barrages are quite intensive now. Something like 15-20 shells are going every few minutes. There seems to be a strategy here to try and hit the road to the east of the town and stop reinforcements coming in or people escaping. From the skies, the aerial threat was directed at the centre of the opposition build-up in the centre of town.
Bombs, see them dropping. See them dropping.
Two bombs hit nearby, a deadly signal of intent.
Okay, bring the car outside.
From our vantage point nearby, we became the target as Gaddafi troops came to about 70 metres of our position. And sprayed our vehicle with bullets. Our escape with a shot-out tyre was touch and go. Ras Lanuf was hit by a two-pronged ground attack from Gaddafi troops laying down blanket fire. Many rebels were killed.
Plenty people is dead inside. Plenty. I don't know number, but I think number is up. Hospital is bombed.
The retreating makeshift rebel army withdrew to lick its wounds and mourn its dead.
Where is the European Union? Where are the Muslims? They're killing us and Gaddafi's finishing us off. All the youth have been killed and everything's been blown up. A lot of people have died.
Everyone had wondered why Gaddafi's forces had not hit back in force in eastern Libya. On Thursday they did. It leaves them in a commanding position in a strategic area of the country. Where that leaves the opposition forces is anyone's guess. Tony Bertley, AlJazeera, Ras Lanuf, Libya.
Well, Muammar Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, in his latest interview has remained defiant, saying they will not surrender, and that if NATO or the US decides to fight, they and the rebels face defeat. Imran Khan reports.
If they want to support the militia, do it. But I will tell you from now, you're going to lose. We will win. And we're not afraid of the American fleet, NATO, France, European. This is our country. We live here, we die here.
Defiant words from Saif al-Gaddafi, the son of the Libyan leader.
To those terrorists.
The rhetoric hasn't changed. The rebels are simply terrorists and the Libyan nation is united. It's a theme he further explores, saying that pro-Gaddafi demonstrators make up the vast majority of Libyans.
2 days ago, have you seen thousands of people marching the streets and the squares? You saw them early in the morning? Yes. This is the real picture of Libya.
But even when announcing the return of captured Dutch soldiers, he allows himself a slight smile, a sign perhaps that confidence is high in the government camp.
So we captured the first NATO soldiers. We're sending them back home, but we're still keeping their helicopter, the armed helicopter.
On the ground, though, it's a confused picture. The tiny town of Bin Javid has seen fierce fighting and no real picture of who's winning. The jets still fly overhead as talk on whether to enforce a no-fly zone dominates the international agenda. Perhaps, though, Gaddafi's last words are his most telling.
Libya is not a piece of cake. We are not a Mickey Mouse.
Fighting words indeed. Imran Khan, AlJazeera.
Well, that so-called no-fly zone and other tactics are still being deliberated by the international community. The Gulf Arab nations have jointly said they believe Gaddafi's government is no longer legitimate and have supported the no-fly zone. But the African Union rejects the idea and went further by saying it doesn't support any form of foreign intervention. The US remains unwilling to take action on its own, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton saying an international consensus is needed. World leaders in Brussels are expected to issue a joint statement on Friday pushing Muammar Gaddafi to relinquish power immediately. NATO is sending warships nearer Libya's coastline in response to the crisis, but debate continues over that no-fly zone. Alan Fisher reports.
NATO is not about to go it alone. Call from member nations for a no-fly zone in Libya have been getting louder. But the organisation's Secretary-General says 3 principles must be met before NATO can take action.
Firstly, there has to be demonstrable need for NATO action. Secondly, there has to be a clear legal basis. And thirdly, there has to be firm regional support.
The Americans want a United Nations resolution. The Russians want details of how a no-fly zone would work. Others just want some information.
It's always a difficult subject. I'm waiting to hear what will be said today. I don't have any preconceived ideas.
NATO would take the lead in any action to cripple Colonel Gaddafi's air defences and air force. But NATO and European politicians want support from the African Union and other Middle East countries, because the last thing they want is this to be seen as Western military action against an Arab nation.
We do not want to get sucked into a war in North Africa. We want to have freedom, we want to support peace, and therefore we have to decide careful and wise. And this means we always should think about the end of the development which starts now.
Military experts say they could have a no-fly zone above Libya up and running in 2 to 3 days. The politicians are the ones who first have to give the green light. Alan Fisher, AlJazeera, Brussels.
Well, further protests are planned across the Arab world on Friday. In Saudi Arabia,